Yeah, I'm just gonna do one of these.
All right.
Scott, hey David, it's 1 o'clock and we had a meeting at 1 o'clock. Can I come in?
Great. Yeah. Thanks for coming out today, David.
Perfect. Listen, I know it's a big decision you plan on making to list your home with me today. And before we get started, I just want to get set up. Is that okay?
Sure.
Can we sit at the kitchen table?
Yeah, absolutely.
Perfect. I'm gonna sit here. You mind sitting here?
Yeah, this is good.
And actually, before I get started, I have a survey that I want you to fill out.
Okay.
If you can fill this out, and while you're doing that, I'm actually just going to take a quick tour of your property. And this way I can see it through the eyes of a buyer since you won't be here for the showings. Is that okay?
Do you mind if we come and show you around the house a little bit?
So if you do that, then I'm actually going to see the house through the eyes of the buyer. Excuse me. Let me start over. Through your eyes and not through the eyes of the buyer.
Okay.
And so it's really important for me to go through the house on my own. And then later on, once you list the house with me, we'll walk it together. And you can show me the property and point out everything that makes the house great to you.
So that's fair.
Is that fair?
Yeah, so we just fill out this survey?
Yep.
Okay.
Great home. Thank you so much for letting me walk through. So I really just have, 3 goals for our meeting today. My goal is to save you time. And so my first goal is to review your motivation to get this property sold and agree on the price that will cause it to sell.
Okay.
My second goal is to answer every question you have for me before I leave. And my third goal is to determine if you want to work with me and if I decide to take your listing. Is that fair?
Yeah, what do you mean if you decide to take our listing?
So let me explain it to you this way. There are times that a seller will have me overprice a listing and I know it won't sell, or they want me to do a lot of marketing that I know won't work. If that's the case, I would rather turn you down than let you down. Is that fair?
Okay. Yeah,
Right.
that makes sense.
Perfect. So I have 3 critical questions, and I actually wrote these questions down. I want to go over those with you before we move forward.
Okay.
Do you really want to sell this house?
Yeah, I mean, we basically need to sell a house. We know that much.
Okay. Do you want to price it where it will sell, or do you want it to sit on the market month after month and not sell?
I mean, we definitely don't want to just sit on the market not selling,
Right.
but we also want to make sure we're getting, top dollar for our
So you
house.
want to make sure you don't leave money on the table.
Yeah, we
Fair
want to make sure we're getting everything out of this house. We've been here for 10 years and put a lot of work into the home. We think it's a great house, so we want to make sure we're getting every penny out of it.
And that's my job for you. And I sent you over my pre-listing packet that went over what I do to sell the home.
Yeah.
I guess my question for you at this point in time is, do you want me to sell it for you?
I mean, I think we want to hear, a little bit more of what you have to say.
Perfect.
Before we make that decision. But
Okay.
everything we looked over looked good.
Good. That's good to hear.
Yeah.
So before I came out, we spoke on the phone and I had a chance to go over a list of questions with you to really get a feel for why you're selling the house and what's important to you and where you have to go.
Mm-hmm.
And I just wanted to take a minute to review those questions with you to make sure I really understand your reason for putting this house on the market and getting this home sold. Can we do that really quickly?
Yeah. So basically, we're just recapping.
Recapping what we talked about before.
Okay.
Right? So you told me you're moving to California, correct?
Yeah.
Right. How soon did you have to be there?
So my job is transferring me out there. I'm actually going to be going out in July.
In July.
But we're hoping that wife and kids can follow shortly thereafter.
Mm-hmm.
We'd really like to get them plugged into the school system by September. So
the school starts in September.
Yeah, school starts the first week of September. So game plan is I'm going out there in July, and then hopefully wife and kids can join me. We would love to get the house sold and have them out here, out in California by middle of August, end of August, the latest.
And what's that do for you if your home is sold, your family's able to be out to California with you and get there before school starts? What's that do for you and your family?
I mean, it would be a huge relief. We love, like I said, we love living in this house, but I've got a great opportunity for my job out there, and I think it's going to be a great thing for the family. Get that warm weather year round, and
I hear you.
It's going to be nice.
So. I used to live there, so I definitely hear you on that.
Oh, nice.
And listen, if you're as committed as I am, we'll have you guys in California before September, and this home will be sold. And so, in fact, after we get a chance to talk and go over the information, you're going to see why so many people list their home with me. And once we talk about pricing and where your house needs to be positioned in the market, you'll see that I get more sellers more money on the sale of their home. I mean, wouldn't that be great if I can get you more money?
Hey, that's what it's all about.
That's what it's all about, right? All right, so here's what I want to talk with you about. I did some research for your town, and I came up with 3 properties, and these are all comparable to your home.
Okay.
They're all colonials. They're all 4-bedroom, 2.5-bath homes. right about on half an acre lot.
Okay.
And look at the price point. So I want to go over the pricing with you. Just get these in the right order. This one's at $825.
Okay.
This one's at $849. This one's at $867.
Okay.
Right? So when you look at these properties, if you were a buyer and you put your buyer hat on, you're no longer a seller. You're a buyer and you're moving into town. Which one of these three properties would you purchase if they're all comparable?
If they're all like comparable.
All comparable,
Yeah, 'cause
similar
we're not familiar with
upgrades,
other things.
similar size lot, similar year built, all like in the 80s. These are all similar comps that are currently on the market in your town.
Yeah, I mean, we know this house looks a little bit more dated than this one, but
Right.
I mean, obviously, if you're saying everything is the same,
Right.
more or less, then we'd probably, if we were a buyer, we'd go for the 825.
You go for 825. And why are you choosing this particular property?
I mean, strictly again, we don't know the specifics of each of these, but
Right.
the price on this one
The
is
price is attractive. Considering everything else is the same, the price is very attractive to you.
Yeah.
Are you aware of how buyers determine value when they're looking at a house?
I mean, I would assume that if all the houses are similar, they're gonna see value in the one that's priced best. Right?
Absolutely. I mean, take for instance here, I have my iPad here.
Okay.
Let's say you were in the market for a computer and you go to one store and you see a computer for $1,500. You're like most buyers, you want to get the best value and the best price.
Mm-hmm.
So you're going to go to another store. And if that same store has the same computer for $1,500, but it also comes with a built-in DVD player and it has a lot of different apps that come with it, which one are you going to buy?
Obviously, the one that comes with more
Stuff,
right?
right? Because you're getting more features and benefits with that one at the same price. However, what if you don't care about all the extras? What if you don't need the extras and you went back to the original store? What would you expect them to do if you were going to buy their computer at $1,500?
Well, I love negotiating, so I would probably
So do I.
try and get them down on that $1,500 price.
So the price should come down.
Yeah.
So no matter what it is, you're either looking for more features and benefits or you're looking for a better price. But whatever it is, it's always going to be about price, right?
Yeah.
So in today's market, in your price range, in your town, buyers are looking at anywhere between 12 to 15 properties before they make a buying decision. What they do is they go through house after house after house until they find the one that has the most features and benefits and meets up with what they're looking for in a property. And so what that means for you is that your home is in competition with 11 to 14 other houses at any given time.
Okay.
And so what we have to do in order to get your family to California by September is find out where do we price your home so that it outperforms all the other competition.
Okay.
So let's look at the comps again. Again, 825, 849, 867. This is our current competition. This is what's currently on the market for sale. So in order to get your family to California, where do you think we need to price your property to get it sold?
So again, I mean, in effort to try and get every last bit out of this, I mean,
Of course.
it's a little concerning seeing that this one's been on for 300 days.
Right.
I mean, before you even came over here, we were hoping to get somewhere between, this 850 number and even a little bit higher than what this one is at.
Right.
We were hoping for like 875.
Right.
So I think, somewhere between this one and this one is where, we hope to
Gotcha.
end up.
And I think it would be great if we can get you that number. However, you pointed out something I wanted to point out to you, and I'm glad you noticed that. This is your competition.
Mm-hmm.
And look how long they've been on the market and they haven't sold.
Mm-hmm.
So what do you think that's telling us about price that they have not sold?
Yeah, I mean, it looks like, and I see, both of these started out at a higher price point. So do you think it's possible that they'll sell now that they're at this price?
They've actually been at these prices for over 2 weeks and they haven't sold. And so what I do is I look at statistics, and the National Association of Realtors, it tells us if a house has been on the market for 2 weeks or longer with no offers and no contracts, it's overpriced.
Okay.
And as you can see, they continue to come down in price. And this one's been on the market for close to a year, this one for over 3 months. They still haven't sold.
Okay.
What is that telling us about the price on these properties?
So I think, it looks like obviously then trying to shoot for this higher number over here, probably not in our best interest.
Who do you want to call?
Is there any way that we could price ourselves in competition with this home, knowing that we'd be the newest house on the market?
So here's what I'll say to you about that. your goal that you shared with me is that you wanted to be in California by when?
I mean, I'm going in July and wife and kids by the end of August.
So you want them there by end of August so they can start in September.
Mm-hmm.
Do you want this home closed before you go? Or do you want to still have this house on the market here when you move to California?
I think for us, I mean, we already have the contract on our place in California.
Right.
Our biggest goal would be we just don't want to be still dealing with trying to sell a house.
Of course.
So if we were at least under contract, doesn't
course.
much matter when we close, but
Right.
we would like to be under contract before we leave. So,
Okay. So in order to be under contract, as you can see, this home here has been on the market for over 3 months and it has not sold yet.
Mm-hmm.
So if you just look at the stats based on what's currently on the market, if we don't price it correctly, 3 months from now, we're into September and the house hasn't sold. How are you going to feel about that if we don't price it correctly and it doesn't sell by the time you have to go to California?
Not great.
Not great. So here's what I will tell you. Looking at our competition, the lowest property here is $825.
Mm-hmm.
So even if we priced it here, if a buyer's moving into the neighborhood and all things are equal,
Mm-hmm.
are they going to buy the house's price here or are they going to buy this home?
Probably that home.
Right.
Yeah.
Right. So this home is going to sell faster.
Mm-hmm.
Right. Which home do you want to sell faster, their home or your home?
Definitely want our home to sell fastest.
Right. So in order to do that, do you think we need to be more strategic with our pricing and put ourselves in a position where when anyone comes to this neighborhood, they see us as the highest and best value?
Yeah. You know, like I mentioned, we definitely put a lot of work into the house. So, I mean, is there a way where at least, you mentioned 2 weeks on market?
2 weeks on market.
I mean, I think we'd like to, we said from the start that we're really looking to get as much money as possible.
Of course.
I can't quite wrap my head around, you know, leaving $25,000 on the table.
I understand
pricing
that.
at this.
I understand that.
I think we'd be comfortable, you know, pricing similar to this one.
Right.
With the idea that, you know, certainly we're going to take your advice, and
Right.
if within 2 weeks we're not seeing the kind of action we want, you know, then maybe we reconsider this. But
No, I completely understand where you're coming from, and I think what I want you to understand is that this particular property at 825 hasn't sold.
mm-hmm.
Let me ask you, if you bought stock in the company, let's say you bought stock last year, $49 a share, and you have to sell it now, and it's only trading at 25, what can you sell it for?
25.
25.
Yeah.
See, I don't make the market, I just interpret the market, and the market is telling us that these homes are overpriced and are not selling because they're not at market value.
Mm-hmm.
And so if we price any higher than our lowest comp, what's going to happen is that you're just going to sit on the market, and that's not September in California with the house that's already closed.
Yeah.
So,
I mean, it's still, you know, I can't wrap my head totally around the idea that I do think that our home is nicer than this home is. So I
don't
get,
disagree with you. I don't disagree with you. In this market, it's a price war and it's a beauty contest. So you have to be priced right and you have to look better.
Mm-hmm.
So because your house is nicer, when we price it strategically, they're going to come and look at your house in this property. Which home do you think they'll buy first?
Well, ours, if it's the nicer house.
And it's priced correctly.
Yeah.
See, what we want to do is get ahead of the market, because if we don't price correctly, this house is going to end up reducing again.
Mm-hmm.
And then we're just going to be chasing the market down. We need to get ahead of all the competition we have out there. So when people come into the neighborhood and they're looking at all these homes that are extremely similar, they see that you've put more into your property. It shows better. It is a nicer home. What that means for you now is that your home is going to sell faster, not necessarily for more money.
Okay.
Now here's the key though, that I'd love for you to understand. These homes have been on the market for a while and they haven't sold. People are looking in the neighborhood.
Mm-hmm.
So when we put your house on the market and it shows better and is priced better than all these properties, we have an opportunity to attract more than one buyer. We can get 2 or 3 parties really interested in your home. If we do that and you're the best deal, what do you think that could do to your price if we get a lot of people, you know, interested in your home?
Well, I guess you're talking about like almost creating like a bidding war of some sort.
It's possible.
Okay.
And a bidding war doesn't always mean, you know, best price, highest price. It means better terms.
Okay.
And so we know when you want to be in California. We know when you want your home closed. So maybe we can find someone who is willing to pay more, or maybe we find someone who's a cash buyer or someone who doesn't have a home they have to sell.
Okay.
And so we can bring you a better deal as far as terms and price goes. However, if we don't price a home correctly, then you're just competing with homes that are already on the market and are not selling, and we're not going to be able to get you to California by September with your house being sold.
Okay, so I mean, where would you suggest that we put our house, price wise?
The range is between 8 and 825. And
Okay.
so because I understand you don't want to leave any money on the table, then what I'm going to suggest is that we come in just a hair under the lowest price property. So when people look up this neighborhood, we're the best price and we're the best looking home.
Okay.
What I hope that does is create, a bidding war
Yeah.
where we can get you more money. At the very least, though, we just need one buyer who's really serious about your home and willing to pay our price and give terms that make sense for you and your family.
Okay.
Does that make sense?
Yeah, that makes sense.
Okay. All right. So are you in agreement based on what we just talked about? So this one's at 825. My suggestion is that we go in at 824.9, and that way anyone searching sees us as the best value here.
Yeah, I think we can give up the $100 and
Right.
price it just under.
It's something, it's psychological when people see that it's the lowest price and it's the best price. I'm hoping to get more people to come in and see this house, get multiple offers, but definitely make sure, no matter even if we only have one, that we get you moved to California.
Yeah, that's the goal.
All right. So now that we have the price set up, so we're going to go on at 824.9. I just need you to share with me what you love about the house so that I can create the brochure, and then we'll take some time once we sign the paperwork to walk around the house together, and you can point out everything that makes a house great to you.
Okay.
All right. So
Yeah, that sounds great.
all we need to do now is sign a contract
Okay.
and then get you going.
And one last thing as we're looking at this, David.
Yes.
I think we had a brief discussion about this, but I see you've got the commission as 6%.
Yes. Commission 6%.
So I know that my wife and I have been talking. Everything here sounds really great.
Of course.
And we would be willing to sign the paperwork right here and now, but we had talked to a couple of other agents. We were getting 4% as well as a lot of people coming in. 2 agents came in at 5%.
Doesn't surprise me.
So 6% definitely seems higher than what the market is.
Of course.
Typically for commission. So
Let me ask you a question about those other agents. Did they have a conversation with you about pricing?
yeah, we talked about the price of the
Okay.
home.
Was their pricing recommendation up where you wanted to list, or was it where you needed to be listed to sell?
Well, that's kind of where we established that 850 to 875 range was,
Right.
the two, especially the 2 agents that we had met with
Right.
most recently had been pointing us kind of, I think they actually had shown us these comps and said, 850 to 875 would work.
Right.
What you're discussing definitely makes sense, but again, at the end of the day, I mean, would you be willing to do match what they're doing and do 5%?
I wouldn't, and let me explain to you why. Have you heard of buying a listing? Do you know what that means?
No.
Okay, so when these agents came in and they gave you this high number, what they're attempting to do is buy your listing. They're telling you a number you want to hear so that you actually sign with them.
Okay.
And they're giving you a low commission to make it attractive. The commission doesn't matter if your home doesn't sell, right?
Yeah.
So what they're doing is getting the listing, and once they have that sign up in your front yard and it's all over the internet, guess what happens? They start getting phone calls
Okay.
from potential buyers that are looking to move into this neighborhood. Are they selling the house that's priced at $850, or are they taking those buyers and selling them all the houses that are priced correctly?
I guess they would be showing them we hope that they would sell our house.
Yeah. You would hope so. However, why would a buyer buy a home that's at $850 when they can get an identical home at $825?
Mm-hmm.
Right? So once they show them all the competition, all the buyers are going to buy the homes that are priced correctly. Wouldn't you agree?
Yeah.
So the agents are making money because they're helping buyers find other homes. But here's the problem. Your home doesn't sell.
Yeah.
Right? So you end up moving to California in September and you still have this house on the market. They don't really care that you have to be there and your goal is to have this home sold and be moved into California by the end of August. They just care that they have a listing they can advertise to find other buyers. So of course they charge you a low commission because they don't really care if your home sells or not.
Mm-hmm.
What I'm doing is telling you what you need to hear in order to accomplish your goals. And you did tell me that you want this home sold before you go.
Yeah, and we definitely appreciate everything you've done tonight, David.
Right.
I mean, I guess it boils down to this, commission.
I completely understand that. Other than commission, is there any other reason you wouldn't list the property with me?
No, I mean, everything that we read about your marketing sounded good. Though I
Right.
will say it seemed pretty similar to what the other agents are doing.
Right.
So that's why I think, as much as we'd like to move forward and, sign with you tonight, I
Right.
think what we'd like to do is just spend some time maybe going over our options.
I
We
think
kind of wrapped our
smart.
head around this 825 number or 824.9.
Right.
So I think my wife and I need to just discuss maybe whether it makes more sense to do that price
Okay.
with one of the agents that's, willing to do 5%.
And that could be an option for you, and you may determine after we finish talking that that might be a better option for you.
Yeah.
I guess my question is, are we just talking about 1% here?
Yeah, I mean, that's all like we said, everything sounded great.
Okay.
We are ready to sign. I just think, if we can save that 1%, it's an extra little bit of money to help us with the move out to California.
Okay.
Make sure that that's a smooth transition. So at the end of the day, we mentioned, getting the most money here.
Absolutely.
And it seems like, if we can save that percent and put some more money in our pocket.
What if I can do you one better versus trying to save 1%? What if I can put 4% more in your pocket?
How would we do that?
Let me explain it to you. So I'm happy you brought that up about it being about the 1%. See, all these other agents, I've done my homework, and if you look at, there's a list price and there's a sales price, and we call that the list price to sales price ratio.
Okay.
If you look at the other agents in town, if you look at their list price to sales price ratio, they're netting their sellers about 95% to list price.
Okay.
All right. If you look at my stats, I'm at 98.2, which means I'm getting my sellers over 3% more at closing. You're putting 3% more equity in your pocket.
Okay.
That's $24,000. So we're not really talking about the 1% more you'll pay me in commission, the $8,000. We're talking about the extra money you're going to put in your pocket. I mean, you're moving to California. You need every penny you get, right?
Yeah.
So with me netting more for my sellers, that's what you want. It's not about the commission. It's about what you get, right?
Yeah.
So based on looking at the stats and seeing what I do for my sellers versus what the competition does it make more sense that you need to be listing with me so I can get you what you want when you want it?
Yeah. So, I mean, this is your track record of the 98%, huh?
98.2.
Okay.
And theirs is averaging 95%.
Okay. I mean, are you sure you can't do 5%?
So here's what I'll do for you. I think this is fair. I'm going to go to work for you for free. I'm going to do all my marketing, take the photos, do the video, put it on all the MLSs, Facebook, Zillow, everything.
Okay.
And you only pay me when I bring you an offer that makes sense for you. And when you sign that contract and you're happy with the offer, you'll pay me at closing. Up until then, I'm working for free. So I'm taking the risk. Is that fair?
Yeah, so that's what percentage would we be working on then?
6%.
6%.
But you only pay it if you only pay me if you actually accept the deal. You're not going to accept the deal if it doesn't make sense for you financially, correct?
Yeah. I mean, wouldn't that be the same situation as with the other agents though? I mean, until we sign the contract to sell our house.
That would be the same thing, except you know that they are netting about 95%. I'm bringing my clients 98.2.
Yeah.
So when you sign, you're going to be putting more money in your pocket versus what you would put in with them.
Okay. All right. Yeah. I mean, I think we just got to think this over, and other than making
Right.
the decision on ultimately 6% versus 5.
Right.
I think we're pretty good here.
That's fair. And what you said to me is, other than commission, there's no other reason you wouldn't list. So I've already addressed that. Even paying me at 6%, by paying me 1% more, you're still putting 2% more in your pocket.
Yeah.
So what else do we need to discuss other than commission in order for you to make a decision?
I think that's really it. Just
That's really it.
let my wife and I have maybe a little bit of time to just stew on it
Yeah,
tonight. And,
You're like my wife and I.
yeah.
You kind of need to
gotta
talk.
make decisions together
Absolutely.
here. So
Here's what I'm going to do then, because I get that, because my wife and I are similar. We just don't make a decision without checking in. So I actually have a few emails and phone calls I need to make. So I'm actually just going to go ahead and step out to my car for 10 or 15 minutes.
Okay.
And then when I come back in, we'll make a decision tonight. You'll choose whether you want to work with me, and I'll decide if I take the listing. Is that fair?
Yeah, that's fair.
That gives you some time to think it, talk it over. And if you have any questions for me, let me know. But I think that'll give you guys some time to really make a decision so I can go to work for you.
Yeah, that's fair enough.
All right, cool.
Great.
So then I come back in.
Yep.
All right, so it's been 15 minutes. I got to tell you, I'm really excited. I've actually talked to a few people in my office already about your property and really excited to get it on the market. Are we going to work together and get you to California by September?
Yeah, you know what? Talked it over with my wife, and I think overall we got a great feeling about working with you, David.
Right.
I'm really glad you shared that info about the 98% versus the 95%.
Absolutely.
Statistics play out like that, then
I hear you.
I think we couldn't make a better decision than listing with you.
I'm happy to go to work for you.
Great.
All right.
Still gotta sign the paperwork.
Sign the paperwork, man. Until
Great.
you sign it, it's not signed. So, all right, good deal.
Awesome. Thank you.
Bye-bye. So, man, that's rough. I'm meeting with Scott. I'm like, oh shit.
That was good. That was
Okay.
great.
What could I do better? I need feedback and coaching from you guys. So what could I have said better? Did I skip anything? Because I was really working on not using my script.
Yeah, I think it was good. I think when you did the 95 and the 98 was
Mhm.
really good.
Okay.
I thought I was listening to Don Kokoska.
I like the part where you said I'm gonna go out to my car and we'll make a decision tonight, where he wanted to do it overnight.
Yes.
But no, it's gonna be tonight.
And I have done that and it's worked. Every time I've gone out to my car and said, hey, listen, I understand you need to talk. What I'm going to do is step outside. I tell them instead of asking.
Right.
Instead of saying, do you mind if I step outside and you talk it over? I say what I'm going to do is step outside and you guys think it over. I'll come back in and let's have a decision made. I think because I take charge,
You take charge.
they realize this is what we need. We need someone who's going to take charge.
It's the same thing making an appointment. I mean, you call to make an appointment and I say, how is Tuesday at 1 o'clock? Will that work for you? Rather than them hemming and hawing.
Amen to that. I
Yeah.
completely agree with you on that.
Mm-hmm.
What
I don't
else?
think I would have changed any. I was admiring your persistence, and you didn't break a sweat or.
You didn't cave on.
I broke a sweat. I just.
I know you
I broke
didn't
a
show
sweat.
it. You didn't
Never
show
let them see you sweat.
it. Yeah.
So what I will tell you though is the importance of practicing the listing presentation. Maybe you guys didn't notice, but I feel like I skipped a couple of things. I felt like I could have talked more about comps. However, I'm trying to keep this to a shorter class, so we didn't go through everything and do the auto method on the comps. But I felt like I wasn't as strong as I need to be. I felt like that was about a 6.5
Wow.
out of a 10.
I was surprised that you went into the comps right away and you didn't even do any of the marketing.
I do my marketing before I come. They get a pre-listing packet with all my marketing before I show up. Yeah. So I believe in pre-qualifying first, pre-listing packet, and then showing up. Now, if they had questions about the marketing, then of course I would address it. We didn't go there, so I didn't address it.
Okay.
But I never bring it up unless I have to,
The marketing.
the marketing.
Do you have
The
any
one
questions
thing-
about what I sent you?
Unless I have to, like they've read through. If they haven't read through the marketing, then I have to cover it. But if
Well,
they
you did
read
ask
through
him
it,
if he read through it.
yeah, if he didn't read through it, I would cover it. But
Okay.
he went over that.
Okay.
The one thing I didn't do is I didn't do the 3 Ps of real estate and talk with him about how I'm different than the other agents. You know, they do the 3 Ps. They put a sign in your front yard, put you on the multiple listing service, and pray someone else sells it. I prospect and I price watch, the market. I didn't talk about that, which could help me when I'm trying to explain to him why he should be listing with me over the other people. I can talk about my prospecting.
I
So
gotta
I
say,
missed that part.
I was surprised that you didn't go there because he did mention that, you all look the same.
Right. Right.
Do you
And
ever,
I'm very surprised you didn't go there.
That's just, I haven't been practicing. So I realized I didn't cover that. I'm glad you saw that as well. I didn't cover that.
do you
Yeah.
ever say, well, where would you like me to discount my services?
I do. If I have to continue to push back, I can say, listen, here's what I'll tell you. Here's 6%, and I would go through how I would cover the 6%.
And
But
take out the
I
15.
use that last. If I can cover it another way, I cover it another way. But if I have to, I'll bring out the dollar bills and talk about where the money goes and how the commission's spread out. If I have to. If he kept pushing back on commission, I would have eventually gotten there. But I wanted to take it away from the commission, and because it's not about commission, it's never about commission. It's about what we do for them. But too quickly we give away our commission so that we can get the listing. We got to fight for our commission. by making them understand it's about equity.
Do you ever ask them, you know, what kind of service would you like? Would you like the platinum service? Would you like silver service? Do you want like, you know, just the basic, put it on the MLS, put a sign in the yard and break, somebody sells it? What kind of services would you like?
I know some people, you know, Ryan's good at this. He has a white glove service.
Yeah.
I don't say anything like that. No. I'm hoping that by me pre-qualifying them, sending out a pre-listing package, showing up on time, following a presentation, they see the value, and then the numbers, list price to sales price, knowing your stats, and those numbers really play out for me. The other thing I didn't talk about was the absorption rate. I kind of skipped over that. You
So
know,
providing
the 40
he
house. Go ahead.
I'm sorry, providing he says that, yeah, he reviewed the stuff, he reviewed the packet, you just go right into price.
Mm-hmm.
It's all about price and commission.
It's all about price.
And where would you have placed your absorption rate conversation if I was sitting there?
So right before we went over comps and I went into the 3, I should have said to you, Scott, are you aware that we have 40 properties in town that are currently for sale, and last week only 2 properties sold? Were you aware of that?
No.
And are you aware that, you know, out of those 40, if you look at the last month, only 6 have sold? So my job is to make sure that with the few homes that are selling, yours is one of them, and that's the only way we're gonna make sure you get to California by September.
Yeah.
So that's a piece that I left out, not purposely, because I haven't practiced it, I forgot to mention it, which is why practice is so important, because if I'm giving him those stats about, here's how many houses are on the market, are you aware of that? And look, only 2 went under contract last week, it gives me another talking point to get you to understand that risking going high is not an acceptable risk if you have to be to California by September. That's why, the reason why I didn't practice for this is I wanted to see how well I remembered it.
Mm-hmm.
And this really shows me we have to be practicing this every week. Because by me skipping this, you know, Scott's whole plan is to allow me to get the listing so that we can show the example of a listing appointment soup to nuts. However, maybe not covering this would cost me the listing. You never know. So all of it needs to be covered, and I completely forgot that.
I mean, the absorption rate would have definitely helped when he kept going back to the other 2 that he wanted to put in between there.
Absolutely. It definitely would help. So.
Yeah.
What else? Anything else?
That's good.
Okay. You're also absorbed in something, I don't know.
Yeah, I'm writing this down because the things that you say that you forgot, we need to make sure that we put in there and practice. And I think that, me personally, I would probably have something here just to make sure that I wouldn't forget anything, because I want to make sure that I cover all those points.
Yeah.
And if there's any other questions and anything that I haven't covered, you know, and ask that question at the end. Hey, Scott, is there anything that I should have asked that I didn't